adventures of Math Girl. With the help of Pocket Ronnie, you also can become a trusty sidekick of Math Girl like PreCalculus and the Daring Derivative. Alright, we're going to be using laws of logarithm to solve for x, and we're looking at 21b19. So here we have the log base 3 of x minus 8 plus log base 3 of x equals 2. These are the same base. When I'm adding the log of two things, laws of log says I can multiply these two things together. So this can be rewritten as log base 3, don't forget your base 3, of x minus 8 times x equals 2. Okay? What do I do with this x? Distribute it. So I have log base 3 of x squared minus 8x equals 2. In order to solve this, I have to get it out of log form. How do I get out of log form? I turn it into exponential form. So how do I turn it into exponential form? You go in the circle. This is your base, 3. This is your exponent, so 3 squared equals this, x squared minus 8x. So this becomes 9 equals x squared minus 8x. I have a quadratic equation. How do I solve a quadratic equation? Set this equal to 0. So subtracting my 9 to the other side, I get x squared minus 8x minus 9. First, check to see if it factors. If it doesn't factor, use quadratic formula. This one should factor. X, 9, 1. This sign says it's going to be a positive and a negative. We want a negative 8 here, so that will be a negative 9, positive 1. That will give us a negative 8 in the middle. So one solution is x equals negative 1. One solution is x equals 9. It is really important for you to check your answers in these because not every answer will be valid. Okay? If you take this, x equals 9, and put it back everywhere you see an x, 9. Then if you went through here, 9 minus 8 is 1, and then if you could do log base 3 of 9, and then log base 3 of 9, this will be 1, 9 minus 8 is 1, then you can check and it will equal 2. Okay, if you were to put a negative 1 here, negative 1 minus 8 would be a negative 9. You cannot take the log of a negative number. Here, same true. That would be negative 1. Log of negative 1. You cannot take the log of a negative number ever. Okay? If you try that in your calculator, you will get an error. So anytime your answer is going to produce the log of a negative number, that means that this answer is not a valid solution. So you will see NAVS. Negative 1 is not a valid solution because you cannot take the log of a negative number. So x equals 9 is your only valid solution for this problem. Okay, now we're going to look at 21c19. So you have the log of base 2 of x plus log base 2 of 2 times x plus 2 equals 1. These are the same bases. That's important for them to be the same base. So we are adding logs. So when you're adding logs, the laws of log say this and this can be multiplied together. Log of this plus log of this is the same thing of log of this times this. So the first thing I'm going to do is simplify that by distributing it. So I have log base 2 of x plus log base 2 of 2x plus 4 equals 1. Now the laws of log say that the log of adding two logs is the same thing as taking the log of the two things multiplied. So it would be x times 2x plus 4 equals 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and simplify that and distribute that. So it would be log base 2 of 2x squared plus 4x equals 1. I need to get it out of log form in order to solve it. So I need to put it in exponential form. This is your base. 2 to the 1, that's your exponent, is equal to 2x squared plus 4x. Okay, so we have a quadratic equation. So how do we solve a quadratic equation? We set it equal to 0. So we have to subtract 2 to the other side. So we have 0 equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 2. Okay, if this doesn't factor, we have to use quadratic formula. I'm going to show you that it won't factor by reducing everything by 2. See, these can be reduced by 2. So as long as I divide everything, if I divide these by 2, I have to divide this by 2. As long as I do it to everything, that's legal math. So dividing everything by 2 gives me 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 1. Okay, factoring, having a positive and negative 1 will never give me a positive 2 in the middle. Okay, so this doesn't factor. So when it doesn't factor, you have to use quadratic formula. Okay, quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's a coefficient of 1 right there. So a is going to be 1, b is going to be a positive 2, and c is a negative 1. Okay, just as a reminder, a, b, c. So x equals negative, and then my b is a 2 plus or minus square root of b squared. So it'll be 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 1, all over 2 times a, which is 1. This comes out to negative 2 plus or minus square root. That'd be 4, negative 4, so this becomes a plus. So that'd be 4 plus 4, which is 16. Square root of 16 all over 2. I'm sorry, 4 plus 4, that'd be 8, 16. So, and then simplifying this radical, square root of 4, square root of 2, that would be negative 2 plus or minus 2, square root of 2, all over 2. You can reduce all your whole numbers by 2, which would be, this would become negative 1 plus or minus square root of 2. So, one solution is x equals negative 1 plus square root of 2, and one solution is negative 1 minus square root of 2. Again, it's really important to check your answers. This square root of 2 is going to give you a decimal of 1 point something. So if you get negative 1 plus 1 point something, that will give you a positive number. Okay, here a negative 1 minus 1 point something will give you a negative number. This right here is going to give you a negative number. And if you go back to the original problem, if we were to put a negative number in right here, we would be taking the log of a negative number, and you cannot take the log of a negative number. That will give you an error. So anytime you're taking the log of a negative number, that is an invalid solution. So for x equals negative 1 minus square root of negative 2, that would be NAVS, not a valid solution. This gives us a positive number where we can take logs of positive numbers, so this is our valid solution for this problem. Okay, looking at 21D, number 21, you have log base 10 of x equals 2 plus log base 10 of 1 minus x. When you have this, the best thing is to get the logs on the same side. Okay, so basically I'm subtracting log base 10 of 1 minus x to this other side. So then I have log base 10 of x minus log base 10 of 1 minus x equals 2. When you're subtracting the log of two things, that's the same thing as the log of these two things divided. So laws of log, I can rewrite this as log of base 10 of this divided by that equals 2. In order to solve it, I need to get it out of log form, which means I need to put it in exponential form. This is my base 10. This is my exponent. 10 squared equals x over 1 minus x. 10 squared is 100. At this point, to solve it, there's several different ways you can solve it. Whenever I have a fraction set equal to a fraction, I like to cross multiply, or you basically can just multiply both sides by 1 minus x. Same thing. So basically I'm going to have 100 times 1 minus x equals x. Distribute this so I can get rid of my parentheses. 100 minus 100x equals x. Now get your letters on one side, numbers on the other side. So I need to get my x's together. So I'm going to add 100x to this side. So 100 equals 100x plus x, that's like a 1. 100x plus 1x is 101x. Divide both sides by 101. X equals 100 divided by 101. That is a positive number. If you went back to check and put it in the original equation, since it's a positive number, you can take the log of positive numbers. So that is a valid solution.